Hello, welcome to the Pet Sitter Coach podcast if you're new here, and welcome back if you are a returning listener. I'm your host, Tanya Grant. I'm a professional pet sitter, small business owner, and the Pet Sitter Coach. I have over 20 years of experience building a sustainable multi-six-figure pet care business. I also mentor mostly solo pet sitters, a few here and there with teams, dog walkers, and pet care professionals, typically in years 1 through 5 through one-on-one coaching. I help my students with pricing, profit strategy, client acquisition and retention, systems and workflow optimization, and sustainable business growth and scaling. Here we talk honestly about pricing, boundaries, burnout, and what it really takes to build a business that lasts. Everything I share is based on real world experience, so you can build a business that feels sustainable and not exhausting. So if you love pets, but feel overwhelmed by the business side of pet sitting, you're in the right place. So this episode is a big one. This is episode 7. And that's because it's not about pricing, scheduling, or policies. It's about something deeper. It's about the mindset that's quietly running your business underneath all of your operations. Today, we are talking about chronic overgiving, people pleasing, overextending ourselves, etc. All the unhealthy patterns that ultimately are unsustainable. And the shift that has to happen if you want to move from being a pet sitter who is constantly stretched to a business owner who feels in control. First, I want to make sure I touch on why overgiving feels so natural in this industry. You'll understand how it slowly leads to burnout. You'll recognize exactly where it's showing up, and you're going to start shifting into a way of operating your business that hopefully feels calmer, clearer, and more sustainable. Because most pet sitters are not struggling because they don't care about the pets. They're struggling because they care too much in the wrong direction. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's call it what it is. There are a few ways to describe it, but I'm just going to say overgiving. This is the pattern where you constantly give more than what is required of you, more than what is sustainable, and more than what is actually being paid for by your client. It doesn't feel like an issue at first. It feels like a superpower. You think, yeah, I'm the one that goes above and beyond. I care more than most of the other pet sitters. And we all say this. I treat their pets like they're my own pets. And all of that is true. But here's the thing. There is a difference between excellent service and overgiving. So many pet sitters blur that line because overgiving is rewarded so much in the beginning. Clients love it. They tell you you're amazing. You're the best. They trust you. That feels so good. And so you keep going. You keep saying yes. You keep squeezing things in. You keep being the easy breezy one. Slowly your business starts to revolve around everyone else. Their needs, their timing, their expectations, not your structure. It's literally a form of self-sabotage. That's where things may start to break. And if we're being really honest, for a lot of pet sitters, this isn't just about being helpful. It's about being a people pleaser. Let's define it. A people pleaser is someone who feels responsible for other people's experience, someone who feels uncomfortable when someone might be disappointed, someone who says yes simply to keep things running smoothly or copacetic between you and the client. In this industry, that tendency gets amplified. It's like a trap. It's so easy to fall into because you're not just working with people, you're working with their pets that they love so deeply. So the emotional stakes are 100% higher. The tricky part is at the beginning, it works. Being flexible gets you clients. Being accommodating gets you rebooked. Being the one who says yes to almost everything gets you praised, gets you good reviews. So your brain starts to connect those dots together. Hey, being easygoing equals experiencing success. So then you're super excited, feeling great, high-fiving everyone around you. But long term, that equation breaks. What started as being uber helpful turns into exhaustion, burnout, and unsustainable habits. It started as being flexible, turns into having no structure at all. Now the question becomes, if you already know this, why is it so hard to stop? Well, because this is actually emotional for us. This is part of our identity. If you have any people-pleasing tendencies, saying no doesn't feel like a simple business decision. It feels like rejection. It feels like you're risking the relationship. Underneath that are two very real fears. The fear of being seen as maybe uncooperative and the fear of disappointing a client. You don't want a client thinking, she's not as helpful as I thought she was, or just generally like them feeling let down. You don't want to damage the good rapport that you've built. So instead of risking that, you absorb the inconvenience and you say yes, even when it costs you something. And if you don't interrupt that pattern intentionally, it will keep running your business. And this is where everything changes, because this is not just about behavior. It's about identity. Right now, a lot of pet sitters are operating as major people pleasers. And that is a lovely thing, meaning it's lovely that we prioritize our clients, their fur babies, and our relationships with them. But it's incomplete because we'll prioritize other people. Business owners should be prioritizing the sustainability of our business. A business owner should be asking themselves, what can I do to actually sustain my business? What supports the long-term vision of my mission and my purpose? What keeps this business running smoothly? Those are the questions we should be asking ourselves. So here's the shift. You don't want to choose between being accommodating and running a business. You want to learn how to do both, because if your business only works when you overextend, then it's not stable, it's fragile. And the micro moments are exactly where this happens, not in big decisions, but in the small moments each day. Can you stay a little longer? Can you squeeze me in? And if you slow those moments down, if you listen to your internal dialogue, you'll hear yourself. I don't want to seem like I'm not being helpful. I don't want to disappoint them. So the decision isn't really about your schedule. It's about managing how you're perceived to others. And that is the mindset shift. Instead of asking, how can I keep them happy? Start asking yourself, what does my business need from me right now? And you can then answer your own question. You need a clear mindset shift. Achieving a mindset shift is rarely one big breakthrough moment. Most of the time, it happens slowly through repetition, self-awareness, and making different choices over and over again until they start to feel normal and it becomes your new normal. As professional dog walkers and pet sitters, our body is a business asset. We spend hours on our feet, our schedules shift constantly, and some days we're logging in serious mileage. Supporting our health isn't optional in this field. It's part of sustaining a long-term career. I personally use AG1 as part of my daily routine because it's a simple way to support foundational nutrition, gut health, and steady energy, especially during busy seasons when my routine isn't perfect. Right now, when you subscribe through my link, use code ThePetSitterCoach, you'll receive a free AGZ sampler, an AG1 sampler, and a vitamin D3 and K2 in your welcome kit, which is an $87 value. You can find my link in the show notes. All right, let's continue. In the pet care industry especially, you are likely naturally a nurturing person. You want to help. You want to be accommodating. You may even tie your worth to being the nice one or the reliable one. So when you start setting boundaries, charging more, or saying no, guilt immediately shows up. That guilt can feel uncomfortable at first because your nervous system is used to prioritizing other people's comfort over your own sustainability. Part of the mindset shift is learning to pause and question those automatic reactions. Instead of immediately saying yes to a last-minute request, undercharging for a service, or bending your policy to avoid disappointing someone, begin asking yourself different questions like, is this sustainable for me to do long term? Would I make this decision if I wasn't afraid of losing the client? Does this support the kind of business and life I'm trying to build? That pause is powerful because it moves you out of emotional decision making and into intentional business ownership. Over time, you'll begin realizing the boundaries are not punishments to your clients. They are systems of protection. They protect your energy, your schedule, your income, your mental health, and ultimately the quality of care that you provide, right? Because a burnt out pet sitter cannot give their best to their clients or pets if they're burnt out. It's just too much. It becomes overwhelming and exhausting. And the more you practice honoring your own limits, the more confidence you build. You stop operating from fear and scarcity and start operating from clarity and self-respect. And eventually what once felt perhaps selfish starts to feel normal, professional, and necessary. And that is when the real shift happens. A really important part of this mindset shift is understanding that overgiving often feels good in the beginning, which is why it can become such a hard pattern to break. When you constantly put everyone else first, always make yourself available, or ignore your own needs to avoid disappointing people, you may feel appreciated, needed, and validated in that moment. But over time, that way of operating long-term becomes emotionally exhausting. So you start pouring from an empty cup without even realizing it. You may also realize that part of your identity has now become tied to being the dependable one or the person who always says yes. So when you begin honoring your own needs, slowing down, or creating healthier boundaries, it can feel uncomfortable at first. You may even question yourself or feel guilty, but that discomfort does not mean you are doing something wrong. It usually means you're growing. The real mindset shift happens when you stop making decisions from fear, guilt, or the need for approval, and start making decisions from self-respect and long-term well-being. You'll begin realizing that your worth is not measured by how much you sacrifice yourself for others. You can still be compassionate, caring, and deeply committed to your clients without abandoning yourself in the process. And on the other side of that shift is a completely different experience of business and life. You will feel calmer, more grounded, more confident, and of course, keep in mind, this will all transfer to the pets that you're taking care of. They'll feel it too. They'll get better care. You stop operating in survival mode and start operating with intention. You create space to actually enjoy the business that you're working so hard to build instead of constantly feeling drained by it. It will definitely feel uncomfortable at first, and you might feel guilty. You might second guess yourself. You might wonder, did I sound too firm when I answered that question? Rereading, your last email to them or text. And that's totally normal because now you're sitting in the feelings you used to avoid. The moment where someone might be disappointed, the moment where you're not the automatic yes. But feeling uncomfortable does not mean what you wrote or what you said was wrong. It means you're approaching change. And over time, it gets easier. The truth is, some clients will prefer the version of you that overcompensates because it benefits them. That doesn't make them bad clients, but it does mean that when you change, not everyone will embrace the new you. And that's okay because you're not building a business based on being liked or making new besties. You're building one based on maximizing sustainability. So in closing, let's zoom out. If your business feels hard at time due to the nature of the interpersonal relationships within it, or if you feel like you're constantly adjusting, understand you're probably carrying too much. Too many high expectations, too much emotional responsibility, too many decisions throughout each day. Most of us are aware of decision fatigue and how heavy that can become and take a toll on us. And a lot of that comes from overgiving, people pleasing, attempting to over-deliver, etc. You don't have to run your business that way. When you shift your mindset from these negative behaviors, things will begin to feel lighter. Your schedule, your communication, your energy, and most importantly, you will feel in control again. That's what will allow you to finally begin enjoying what you've built. So if this episode hit, great. That means you're ready, not for more hustle, but for more clarity, structure, and leadership. I love talking about mindset shifts. And especially in this industry, it's so important because in the beginning, you're so excited. You've got new clients coming in, new pets to enjoy, new personalities to get to know. But ultimately, you just have to be aware. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for listening to the Pet Sitter Coach podcast. If today's episode was helpful and you're enjoying the show, I'd really appreciate it if you took a moment to leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Those reviews help other pet sitters find this podcast. You can learn more about my coaching by visiting thepetsittercoach.com. You can find the Pet Sitter Coach podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts. And if you're watching me on YouTube and you enjoyed this episode, please be sure sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. I'll talk to you next time.